So originally I didn't want to make this video just because everybody else already said the same thing I was going to say. Like, oh, I think perks and hero bands would be a great addition. I'm so excited for this, blah, 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 blah. Right? It had been said once and it's been said a million times over again. But when perks were announced and I saw them, I thought, yeah, these are really cool, but I don't think they're going to be that good. I mean, they're going to change things, yes, but counter swapping is just so powerful, right? It's so like heavy hitting. Like I have 80 hours in Wrecking Ball. I'm not the best Wrecking Ball in the world. I'm not the worst, but I'm pretty up there, right? And anytime they go Sombra or Doom or Roadhog or anybody of that, even just one of them were to swap, it's a massive, like a massive pain in the ass to deal with them, right? Just because their kit in of itself just destroys Wrecking Ball, and it's very difficult to play. And so it's miserable to play the character I really want to play and I really enjoy. Now I understand it's in a competitive setting. You want to win the game, right? That is the goal. You play to win the game. Like that one quote. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said it. And it's just like so impactful that I'm like, yeah, perks are cool and all. And they seem to actually change how you do go about playing your character. But still, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think we're going to have that honeymoon phase where it's going to be like, oh, these are so cool, it's so busted, or this is great, best update Overwatch has ever had, and then it's going to like fall off because people are going to realize like, hey, counter swapping is still, it's just better than having perks. It's just better. If you are struggling against a Roadhog, just go Malga, boom, you win, right? And if you're struggling against the Diva, go Zarya Sim or something like that. And when the perks did come out, I went into competitive, and there was a rank reset as well. So just keep that in mind. I saw everybody playing their favorite character, right? The compositions were out of whack. I don't know if that's just because they wanted to see the perks of their newest character, or just because, you know, rank reset, everybody's lower. The like platinum and gold players aren't going to be worried about compositions. They just play whoever they want and win, right? And so I'm like, okay, maybe they're just playing whoever they want to play. But as I continue to play, and I'm in Diamond 4, Diamond 3 in support right now, in Plat and DPS. And I have seen the counter swap game played maybe 3 times out of 30 games-ish. I'm not quite sure how many games I have played, but I've seen counter swap 4-ish times. Okay, let's just go with 4 at most. All the other times, they would lock in their tank and maybe swap one other time. They would change their tank one time, and that's typically when on second round when we swap from offense to defense. That's when they would swap, just because that character's better tuned for a defensive playstyle or an offensive playstyle or whoever they want. In like the previous season, it would just be rock, paper, scissors, right? They would swap every single team fight. But like after watching it, they play their tank and they stick to it, man. Like they actually stick to it. Even though, like, let's say the enemy team is countering them, like the enemy tank is countering them, they're able to play through it. Like, yes, they lose, yes, they die, but they stay on that, right? Like they stay on the tank they chose because they have these perks, and with these perks and with their teammates having the perks of their own, like we're actually winning these difficult matchups. Like these matchups that used to be impossible, right? Like Doomfist going into Mei, Sombra, Malga, like he's able to win, right? Like he's able to succeed because of the perks he has and because of the perks his teammates have. And it's really, really cool to finally see a solution to counter swapping that doesn't feel like garbage. I feel like this is one of, if not the best solution to counter swapping. Are we still in the honeymoon phase? Probably. Yeah, I think it's fading a little bit, but people are definitely still really excited. And when it comes to Overwatch putting up a fight against Marvel rivals, they 100% are. No doubt in my mind. However, giant however here, if they stop doing what they're doing, like stop making these big changes, like perks, like hero bans, like of what they announced, then they'll just be right back in the same spot they were. No doubt in my mind. Yes, perks are pretty significant. I really hope that, you know, tomorrow's Tuesday. Tomorrow's going to be the 25th. If they buff and nerf like every single perk, like substantially, dude, it's going to just shit on the game. I hope they touch as little perks as possible. Like, I hope they don't do a single thing. Maybe like a few number changes, like some of the damage dealing ones, like May's cryo freeze thing. I feel like the radius is a little too big and the damage is a little too high. But then again, I'm not a May player. I don't fight against a ton of Mays. I've experienced it maybe 3 times, and so I probably just have to get used to it. I just hope tomorrow they don't change a ton of stuff. There's a few number tweaks I would like to see, but I had the exact same thought process with Marvel Rivals. Like, oh, Hell is too strong, which to be fair, she was. Or Iron Fist was really annoying, and all these other complaints. But the more I played and the more I learned about the game, I'm like, hey, this is actually fine. I don't know why I was complaining earlier. And this is probably the same situation, where myself and others are complaining about these perks being too strong, when in actuality, we just don't know how to fight against it yet. That's the case for a lot of new things added into hero shooters. Like, is this character busted, or do you just not know how to deal with them? They have to keep this up, right? They have to keep making these big changes. They still have to release hero bans. They still have to release map bans. And a handful of other things that they did announce during Spotlight. Even if they do release that, give it about a month, and like I said before, they will be right back in the situation they were. But I'm worried, right? I'm worried that in about a week or 2, maybe 3, people are just gonna go right back to the counter swap game. And there will always be some degree to counter swapping, because that is a format issue, right? That is a 5v5 issue. And so no matter like how many perks or how many changes you make, like how many like number changes you make to these tanks, there's always gonna be some degree to counter swapping. And I'm pretty firm on that being a format issue, that being 5v5's problem, because there's only 1 tank on each team, not the 2. Originally the other guy could compensate for your weakness, you know, but now you're just on your own. And it feels garbage to play, and it doesn't feel good to play against. Counter swapping, that is. I think the mid-season competitive 6v6 will be the best version of Overwatch 2 they've released. Also, another thing, why do they keep on making new game modes? Oh, okay. I understand like arcade and LTMs. I would 100% get that. I love those. Everybody else does as well. But when it comes to like the core game modes, like when it comes to like hybrid and control, I think those are the 2 main game modes that should just stay. I don't think you should add any new ones, because you've tried, right? Like, remember when they added push and then everybody hated push? Just they actually rigged the chance of getting a push map when it first came out. There's like a really high chance you would get a push game mode in your games rather than hybrid and control. And I feel like that really fueled the fire for the hatred of push. But even then, anytime I do get a push map, it feels garbage. I still don't like it, man. I mean, it's gotten better, right? I've learned more. It's not as hated. But still, like, dude, don't put this in competitive. I know you want to add new game modes, but every time you add a new game mode like this, that's another game mode in which you need to add maps over time for. So instead of getting 1 map for hybrid and 1 map for control, we could get only 1 map for push and 1 map for control and 0 for hybrid. Just stop with the new game modes. Like Clash, it's grown on me a little bit. I'm still not the biggest fan. I know you want more like core game modes. Just add more maps. Please just quit with expanding on game modes. Just add new and different maps. And the funniest thing about all this, or what I find funny, is that I called this in a previous video. I think I released it on like the 6th of December, where I said like, yeah, Marvel Rivals is going to be either the best thing or the worst thing for Overwatch. And pretty much I said that competition sparks growth, and I'm really hoping we're going to get a big update. And in that video, I requested hero bans. I think hero bans would be awesome. And now they announced it, and they have all these changes. So I'm glad I was right about that. And I'm actually kind of proud that I was able to call it early. I feel like the biggest problem that came from Spotlight were the YouTubers reacting to him. Because like I watch react videos, not a ton, but not little. And when I saw like Flats's reaction to the perks when he was there, it kind of like, yeah, it was a big deal for Overwatch because we haven't gotten something as big as this ever. And people have been asking for a perk or talent system for a while now. And so to be one of the first people who see it and play it, On top of being a content creator where making primarily Overwatch gameplay is your job, right? I understand why that would be a big deal and like to be really hyped up behind it. But it felt like all the reactions were way too over the top. It sounded like they were watching the greatest fireworks show known to man. You know, like, oh my god, this is insane! Like, dude, we get it. I understand why you're like this, but please, it's not that big of a deal. That's just me though. You know, it's their channel. They do whatever they want. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt me in any way. From the bottom of my heart, I don't give a shit. I've always enjoyed watching Flats' content, but to just like see this almost like persona, I don't know, being so like over the top and crazy about these perks. Same with like Emong. I don't know. Personally, it didn't feel way too forced. It felt forced to a degree. I don't know. It was just kind of weird to watch. When it comes to a hero shooter, you want more maps, more characters, more changes, right? And so when your competitor can just make all these characters significantly faster, like significantly faster than you're making yours, that's not a good look. Not only are they making characters faster, but new maps as well. And they have like a spectacular reputation. And Overwatch 2 on the other hand, not so much. But like when hero bans are in the game, like when hero bans are in the game, and map bans are in the game, and the new heroes in the game, and maybe like a new map. I think you announced like something in Japan, I believe. That's one thing I remember. When those are all in the game, what next? Can you continue at this rate? Can you increase the rate? Because if you don't, and you continue to release heroes and maps at the same pace, like I've said in this video before, you're gonna be in the exact same spot you are now. You can't keep up Overwatch. You have to outrun. Does that make sense? You have to do the same and then some. Marvel Rivals doesn't own the third-person POV in video games, right? They don't own that. Any game can do that, just like any game can be a hero shooter, and any game can have a payload and control system. Yes, we were only shown the third-person view, the third-person mode, after Marvel Rivals took off. Is that coincidence? Absolutely not. They most definitely got that idea. And plus, like from a coding standpoint, it's probably really easy to implement a third-person view. Yeah, I think the third-person camera will help with a lot of heroes. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Also, the feel and the pacing, just being able to see more of what's going on. But another talking point, which I've heard a little bit, but not as popular, is skins. Not like releasing more skins, but because you're in a third-person camera, you can see the entire skin that you paid for, not just the weapon you're holding. Like, you can see what you purchased. It's like, oh shit, okay, I'm not just buying a fancy looking gun, because you know that's all you see in the first person. Like with the footage in the background, you see this fancy gun? This is all I see. This is all I see. I don't see my actual character, like their armor or their uniform, their outfit of some kind. And so when you have a third-person camera, you can see that. You can see what you got. And that, I feel like that definitely helps with Marvel Rivals pushing skins. If it was in first person, like, yeah, of course people would still buy skins for their favorite character, but being able to see what you paid for is a very good thing to have. Overall, I think this is the best season Overwatch 2 has had ever, and I just hope they keep this up. Like, they keep on adding these new things and these big changes. When an update comes out, I don't want to see that they gave Orisa 25 more armor, you know? Or maybe add like a third perk you can get. I feel like that will also, I think that'll be a little overkill. It'll also help with the counter swapping problem that Overwatch faces that the perks helped with. Back to the 6v6 talking point. Now that I'm thinking more about it, I don't know how perks will impact 6v6. I mean, probably in a good way, right? It'll definitely change up the gameplay and how you go about things, but I don't know. Ooh, one last thing. I hate the mentality of like, you can only have one hero shooter. Can we not have both? Is that like illegal or something? Is that morally wrong to have two hero shooters? I understand that Marvel Rivals is a very big competitor against Overwatch in the hero shooter genre, and the similarities they have is probably the closest that Overwatch has to any game. But I hate the fact that, oh, Marvel Rivals is better. Can I not just play the game I want to play? Can we not have two hero shooters? You go ahead and play your Marvel Rivals. That's okay. I don't care. That is like, it is a free game that you downloaded on your Xbox or PlayStation or PC or whatever the hell. I don't give a shit. That is what you do with your time, and I don't care. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, I do not give a shit if you play that game or not. Okay, but to go out and say like, oh, Marvel Rivals is better whenever you see someone playing Overwatch, shut the fuck up, please. Just as I don't care what game you're playing, you shouldn't care what game I'm playing. I don't understand that why we can only have one. Can't we just have both and have them both improve off of each other? Is that bad? Can I not play the game I want to play? It doesn't make sense. I understand like hating on Overwatch and it being like a really popular thing. Don't get me wrong. There's still a handful of things I don't like about the game. But to see them improve at such a rapid pace because of a competitor and then have people shit on the game, it's like, can you not? And like even Overwatch's own community does that. Everybody was begging for like 6v6 in hero bans. And then they announced, hey guys, we're gonna add a competitive 6v6 in the mid-season, as well as hero bans at some point. And then everybody says like, oh, y'all are getting desperate. It's like, you were just fucking asking for that. Like, you were just asking for that. And then you call them desperate for actually adding it. Like, I understand they have a terrible reputation and lots of false promises. I've been here since day one of Overwatch 2. And a solid chunk of Overwatch 1. And so trust me, I know, I'm aware of these things. But is it so wrong to have two good hero shooters? Can I enjoy the game I want to enjoy? Or is it gonna be shit on by like an absolute stranger on the internet? Alright, I think those are all my thoughts on the Spotlight in Overwatch 2 mumbo jumbo. I just hope that they keep up with these big changes and not like 25 more health to Orisa or some shit, you know, like they're actual good changes that aren't this small stuff.